If you're a brand new or inexperienced Amazon seller, you've probably heard of leads lists at some point in the past. Now, I've been selling on Amazon successfully since December of 2015, selling over $7 million worth of products. And at first, whenever I got into the Amazon business, I started with some leads lists and then I kind of backed away from them because I thought that, well, everything that I was buying was tanking. And so I didn't want to continue to purchase leads lists if the products were going to end up not being profitable. However, over the years, I've come to realize that leads lists should be utilized in your business if you're doing arbitrage in multiple different ways so that you can separate yourself from all the other sellers that are purchasing those leads lists as well. And in this video, we're going to be covering 5 different ways that you should be using leads lists that allows you to expand the product selection of whatever you're going to be selling in your Amazon store. So let's go ahead and get right into it. But before I do that, I do want to recommend a leads list provider that has been around for a long time. It's one of the most stable leads lists that I've seen and one of the companies that I know, like, and trust, and I've met the founders, etc. And that company is Cheddar. Now you can actually get a 7-day free trial of their leads list with no strings attached there. You can check it out for 7 days for free at askjimmysmith.com/Cheddar. They have a bunch of different plans and they all have a 7-day free trial for you to utilize. Now the common theme in using a leads list to expand your sourcing techniques with your Amazon business is going to be by rabbit trailing. And what we mean when we say rabbit trailing is that you're just taking a product, an ASIN, or some other information, and you're using that to then go on a rabbit trail down a trail of different ways of thinking or different types of sourcing that allows you to expand as you move further down that trail. And so this first rabbit trail method is going to be rabbit trailing the store that you got access to from the leads list. So when you're looking at a leads list, the provider is going to be giving you an ASIN. It's going to give you the cost, the sell price, the recommended profit that you're going to be experiencing with that, as well as the supplier and the store that you would be purchasing that from. And so you can use this information if you've never purchased or heard of a store that they are recommending that you buy something from this leads list on, then you can use that store to your advantage and start sourcing that to see what other deals that they have going on at that time. Because a leads list, they may be providing you 10 leads that day from multiple different stores and 30 to 40 other sellers are on the list, but ultimately you know that if there is a coupon code, a discount, etc. happening at that store, then you can actually source that store more fully and find products that the other sellers aren't seeing because they aren't on the leads list. So this gives you an opportunity that opens up more ASINs to source from. And this brings me to the second opportunity to rabbit trail from a leads list, which is rabbit trailing the brand. Now, whenever you're looking at a leads list, you're going to be given a bunch of brands as well, these different products that you're going to be purchasing from the store and selling them on Amazon. Well, maybe there's a brand that you've never heard of before, or there is one that you've heard of, but you just haven't really done much sourcing before. And so I recommend taking that brand and actually using the Keep a Data product finder, or actually just sourcing it manually on Amazon, or using another sourcing software that you have to see if there are other profitable arbitrage opportunities with that brand. Additionally, if it's a smaller or lesser known brand, then you can actually use that to see if maybe you can find a distributor for that brand, or you can reach out to them to try to set up a direct relationship for a wholesale account if there are other profitable ASINs around. So you can use this data to your advantage. You aren't always buying directly off the leads list. And in many cases, I recommend not actually buying off of a leads list unless you're getting a high quality one, which, we've seen a lot of people have successes just purchasing leads lists and buying the products off of there. But depending on the leads list provider that you have, it may be best to avoid just purchasing directly off that list and using these rabbit trail methods to expand your sourcing by sourcing more from the store, sourcing more from the brand, and going into these next few methods that I'm going to recommend. Before we get to this next point on how you can use leads lists to your advantage in multiple different ways, I do want to invite you to join me inside of my advanced and motivated community called the Business Building Legends community. We've been around since 2018 and we have hundreds of other motivated and advanced sellers that are looking to grow and scale their business. Now, it is designed for people that are over 10K per month in sales already, but if you're under that and you have the desire and the goal to push forward, we are there to help you along the way. So if you'd like to apply to join, all you have to do is go to askjimmysmith.com/legends and we'll be able to see you on the inside. Now, the third way to start rabbit trailing from a leads list is to utilize that information and find more products within that same variation or that same type of product that they are recommending that you sell on Amazon. For instance, if you've got a certain flavor of a grocery product, maybe it's raspberry lemonade, we'll look for other strawberry lemonade or blueberry lemonade and see if there are different products, because ultimately you're trying to steer away from the rest of the sellers that are using that leads list and just buying off the leads leads list and selling it on Amazon. Because if it's on one leads list, it could be on some others as well. And so you're trying to separate yourself from everyone else. And by looking for different variations, different flavors, different sizes, especially if you sell clothing and shoes, you can use that to find other sizes of those products that ultimately you can sell at a profitable price. Now, the fourth method of using leads lists to your advantage is going to be rabbit trailing the competition, or doing more competition analysis and storefront stalking. So whenever you get a list of 10 or 15 different products from your leads for that day, you can click into that ASIN and start looking at the other sellers and what those other sellers are currently selling on. And you may be able to find other good products, because more than likely, if it's an arbitrage opportunity and there are a bunch of other FBA sellers on that listing, then they are also probably going to be arbitrage or wholesale sellers themselves. And so if you start to look at their storefronts, you can get a good feel for what it is that they have available that maybe you can also find and sell on your own storefront. Additionally, there are software tools like Nepedo and Storefront Stalker Pro and other things that allow you to actually fully and quickly analyze a storefront to find these products and find those source suppliers for them. But ultimately, you can use this data to your advantage. There's hundreds upon hundreds, maybe even thousands upon thousands of data points just from 10 or 15 different leads that you get per day whenever you use a leads list. And these are just some of the ways that you can use them, by doing some of the rabbit trailing for the particular supplier, doing rabbit trailing for the brand, or looking at different variations and flavors, or looking at the other sellers that are currently selling on those listings, which then brings me to the fifth one out of all of the different opportunities that exist, which are using the leads to rabbit trail for different niches or different opportunities that maybe you didn't look at. Now, ultimately, whenever you're taking a look at a leads list, it's probably going to have some sort of a niche. Maybe it's got a couple products for dress shoes, or a couple products for men's running shoes, or maybe a couple products for pickleball or baseball, or some other type of a niche. And so ultimately, you can find and categorize those products and think, all right, well, I have never actually looked at men's running shoes before. Maybe I want to sell more in that category, and start doing sourcing down that category. Or maybe it's something that has gluten-free barbecue sauce and you've never heard of that before, or you've never sourced it before. Start looking at those other opportunities in that niche. This gives you a huge array of chances to find products that you learned about from that list, but ultimately you've never sourced before. And you can use that to your advantage while also storing and saving those leads for future use. Whenever you're using a leads list, you don't want to just take that list and discard it. No, you want to save that data for future uses. And I recommend using replendashboard.com for that. But ultimately, you can use Cheddar Soft. You know, the Cheddar leads list provider has a software for the leads that they're providing to you. You can also use other tools out there that exist for storing leads, and don't want to just save them in Google Sheets or discard them for never using them again. You want to have a place to come back to them over and over again, which is why I recommend OA Cheddar for the leads list, because not only do they have that 7-day free trial, but they also have been around for a long time, and they have a system for helping you store your leads at the same time if you want to come back to them over and over again in the future to see if something 6 months ago that you didn't purchase off the list is now profitable and nobody else is paying attention to it, right? So again, if you want to check out OA Cheddar, you can do so at askjimmysmith.com/OA Cheddar. They have a bunch of different pricing plans for you to check out. If you're doing shoes and clothing, you can see mostly Nike opportunities there. They have a bunch of other mixed category options that range from high tier and more expensive options down to some of the, good but not great leads, as they say here, down to $99 per month. Whenever you click into one of these plans, it will be 7 days of a free trial, and you can just look at what makes the most sense for you. They have some open spots on many of these lists. Some of them are sold out, and you can see which ones fit best for you if you want to be a part of a 20-member list with a higher amount of net profit or average ROI, or if you want to be a 25-member list or a 35-member list. Ultimately, tons of options for you, but you aren't just purchasing these leads to then buy the leads outright, which you can do. There are sellers and examples. The owners themselves actually purchase directly off these leads lists all the time to run a 7-figure Amazon business. But you can also then use these leads in a bunch of different ways, not just the 5 that I gave you, but there's multiple more. If you dive deeper into those leads and start thinking outside the box of the products that you're being given, you don't just have to buy those 10 or 15 things. No, you can turn them into hundreds of other types of opportunities that you can then source and sell in your Amazon store. So do you have any questions, or what is your experience with leads lists? Post that down in the comments below. I hope this video helps you and blesses you. You have a great rest of your day and a blessed rest of your week.